Are you aware of what really happened to you?
No, I'm not.
Or can you talk about
I can talk about it, but I'm not aware of what really happened to me.
Yeah.
All I know is that I went to a friend's birthday party. I gave a friend a birthday party.
Mm-hmm.
Hello.
You thought was your friend?
Well, we ain't even gonna touch on that.
Yeah.
I came home like I would normally do.
Tell you something, your lawyers are about to have a whole lot to handle. I told you once and I'm gonna tell you again, I'm not one of these new bitches to doing this, baby. I'm 14 years in, been sued by some of the best.
All right, buckle up, because this one is heavy, messy, emotional, and honestly uncomfortable in ways nobody was ready for. Because when Tamar Braxton finally opened her mouth about what really happened that night, why Mendecees was allegedly involved, why Funky Dineva decided to leak video, and why the story keeps shifting, everything people thought they understood completely fell apart.
Part of the problem with this whole thing was, Tamar, is that I was never comfortable with the relationship that you and Mendecees had in front of me, okay? All of that, you at the music video shoot in your booty shorts, sitting on top of him meeting us up at restaurants every time we met up, I was very uncomfortable with it. And if we gonna tell it, let's tell it all.
And once you hear how this unfolded, you're gonna realize this was never just internet drama. This was about fear, silence, power, and a woman trying to control a narrative that was slipping out of her hands. Let's get into it. Because the internet wasn't just asking questions anymore, it was demanding answers. And that's when Funky Dineva stepped in and said, "Since you won't tell it, I will." Now, before we even get to that night, we need to understand Tamar, because Tamar's story has always been complicated.
I want to know what all the hell going on. I want to know what's going on too, bitch, okay? The lady got on the internet and said she almost died. Now listen, let me just go ahead and get this out the way, okay? Before we even get to the top of the show, I don't know what happened to the lady. Okay, for those of y'all that don't know, I'm talking about Tamar Braxton. I don't know what happened to the lady.
She grew up in the shadow of a legendary family, fighting to be heard, fighting to be seen, fighting to be taken seriously. For years, she was labeled too much, too loud, too dramatic, too emotional. And after her marriage collapsed publicly, after health scares, after career setbacks, Tamar developed something people don't talk about enough: survival mode.
I want him to tell his own story. You know, I don't really like telling people's story. You should ask Mendecees.
When you're always in survival mode, you don't tell the full truth. You tell the version that keeps you alive. And that's important to remember. Because the night everything went left didn't start with violence. It started with fun. Cameras, drinks, laughter. A familiar circle of people who all knew each other well enough to feel comfortable, but not well enough to be safe.
All I was asking was for you to go back to your stories and put, Funky Dineva didn't do anything to me, guys. I was resting. I should have said something earlier. That was all you had to do, and it could have been done with on my end. Even in this very moment, that was all you had to do, and it could have been done.
But when Tamar woke up, she told the world she was covered in blood, missing teeth, injured, confused, and worst of all, she claimed she had no memory of what happened. That's when the internet froze. Because people don't just wake up like that. Naturally, fingers started pointing. And because Funky was the last person publicly seen with her, the heat landed directly on him. Comments flooded his page, accusations flew, rumors exploded, and through all of it, Tamar said nothing. No defense. No clarification. No, leave him alone.
I did not get out the car and go upstairs with Tamar when we got back to her house. Because after her and Mendecees got through kissing in the back of that goddamn car, I figured they wanted to be up there privately. That is why when we got dropped off at Tamar's house, I did not go upstairs. I got in my damn car and went home because you was sitting on his lap in that goddamn Uber and y'all ass was kissing, okay? And the shit made me damn uncomfortable.
And that silence, that's what broke everything. Months later, Tamar went on a public platform and decided to reopen the wound. Nobody forced her. Nobody asked. She brought it up herself. And instead of clarity, she gave contradictions. She implied betrayal. She suggested danger. She distanced herself from people she had clearly been close to. And then she said something that made Funky snap.
If anybody know who happened and what happened to your damn teeth, it's Mendecees and his best friend, because they was the ones who went upstairs with you. Now, I don't know whether they was f***ing your ass from the back and ran your head through the headboard or what, okay? But if anybody need to be investigated on what happened to you in your damn teeth, it need to be Mendecees and his friend, because that's who went upstairs with you.
She claimed she barely knew Mendecees. Yes, that Mendecees, Yandy's husband, the same man she had done a music video with, the same man she had been seen around, the same man multiple people knew she had a relationship with. That's when Funky said, enough. Because according to Funky, Tamar did not leave that night alone. She left with Mendecees, not secretly, not quietly, but confidently, together all night. He claimed they avoided cameras on purpose, that when the lights were on, they kept distance, but when the cameras stopped rolling, they were close, too close, touching, kissing, comfortable. And that's when the story took a terrifying turn.
And I knew that this is how you was gonna play it. So now we finna take it all the way back to the very beginning. I knew this was how you was gonna play it. And let's be very clear here. If y'all remember when the situation first broke and about the whole mouth stuff, and I said, and the only reason you dropped that video is because, and I said, I ain't gonna do it to you. Y'all remember that? I said, and the only reason you dropped that music video real quick like this was because, and I said I ain't even gonna do it. The reason you dropped that music video as quickly as you did is because people had spotted y'all ass, okay? Inappropriate relationship. Well, you tell me, Tamar, if it's appropriate or inappropriate when we're sitting at Roof Chris and he's rubbing in between your thighs, in between your dress.
Because Funky revealed there was a third man involved, a man Tamar herself later referenced as the one who found her unconscious. Now think about that. If you don't remember anything, if you woke up injured, if multiple men were involved, then why protect some names and destroy others? That's the question nobody could answer.
About the whole thing was the fact that you don't get to go around and create media shitstorms that involve other people without their permission. That whole, my teeth fell out, and I don't know what happened. Tamar, like, sis. And then you had that Spanish lady make that video down in Miami lying. There is nobody who had the amount of mouth trauma that you had that healed that quickly.
Social media exploded. Theories ran wild. People speculated about jealousy, secrets, substances, arguments, things getting out of hand. Some even suggested Tamar was jumped. Others believed something consensual turned violent. And while no version was confirmed, one thing became clear. Tamar knew more than she was saying. And Funky knew it too. That's why he leaked the video. Not out of spite, but out of desperation. Because according to him, the footage proved Tamar was not the helpless, unaware victim she portrayed. It showed her alert, engaged, present. And while it didn't explain everything, it contradicted the image she had painted.
Tamar, you gonna sit up in my face? You gonna sit up in my face with your 3 faces and tell me that you and Mendecees did not have a conversation at that table in Roof Chris about him putting out a statement about him and Yandy not being together no more? We really gonna do that? And he said he did a version of the letter on ChatGPT. And then you started laughing back and was like, no, you gotta go back and rewrite it to kind of make it sound like it's you. We gonna say that didn't happen? We gonna say that didn't happen? We gonna sit up here and say, after he was digging in between your thighs at that Roof Chris, and he got up and went to the bathroom, that the conversation was, y'all, I can't. He just my friend. He just my friend. I can't. I mean, and then I said, Tamar, ain't he married? He ain't married. They not married. They just do that for the show. They not married. That's what we gonna do?
And once that video dropped, Tamar panicked. Suddenly, it wasn't about healing anymore. Suddenly, it was about lawsuits. Suddenly, it was about families being affected. But here's the problem. When you threaten legal action instead of telling the truth, people stop feeling sorry for you. And the emotional fallout was brutal. Fans felt betrayed. Some believed her, some didn't. Yandy was dragged into something she never asked for. Funky became the villain and the whistleblower at the same time. And Tamar, she looked isolated. Because whether she was protecting herself, protecting someone else, or hiding from shame, the silence cost her trust. Emotionally, this cracked her image wide open. Tamar has always worn her heart on her sleeve, but this time her heart felt guarded, closed, defensive. She wasn't crying for sympathy anymore. She was fighting for control. And that's exhausting. You could hear it in her voice, see it in her posture, feel it in her posts. This wasn't someone healing. This was someone trying not to drown. Relationships fractured, friendships dissolved, and once again, Tamar found herself at the center of chaos she helped create, but couldn't escape. And here's the hardest truth of all. Even if Tamar was hurt, even if something traumatic happened, even if fear played a role, manipulating the narrative only made things worse. Because real healing requires honesty, and honesty doesn't survive in half-truths. So where does that leave us? With questions? With discomfort? With a story that still doesn't feel finished? Was Tamar protecting herself? Was she protecting Mendecees? Was she ashamed? Was she scared? Or was she simply used to controlling the story until it collapsed? Only she knows. But what this situation shows us is something deeper than celebrity mess. It shows how fast sympathy can turn into suspicion, how silence can become accusation, and how trying to outrun the truth usually ends with the truth running you down. At the end of the day, nobody wins here. Not Tamar, not Funky, not Yandy, not the fans. Just a trail of broken trust and unanswered questions. And if history has taught us anything about Tamar Braxton, it's this: the truth always comes out eventually. The only question is, how much damage will be done before it does? Because this story, it's far from over.